the law hinges on this idea of freedom and free will, and then that interplay between social pressure and the idea of there being such a thing as a personal self. It's one of those things that we could literally do an entire semester just off of this one statement, unpacking it and figuring out the extent to which it's true. One of the things that the existentialists are very good at is developing sentences that are incredibly pregnant with meaning, that can go in a million different directions. Because there's a lot that's going on there that we kind of presuppose, but there's a lot that also still has to be kind of proven. So for example, if I were to ask you, is there such a thing as free will? In other words, can you kind of choose to do whatever you want to do? Well, a lot of us kind of feel like, well, to a degree, like what are some things that you can't do? Well, like I can't fly. Well, true, okay. I can't play third base for the Padres, but aren't you free to do that though? Whether or not you're good enough to do it. So whether or not freedom maybe depends on the circumstances that you find yourself in. But there's a growing body of scientists who are arguing that we don't even have this thing called free will that we think we have. Because you kind of got this idea of the human that we're either just a body, which means that we're just a physical thing like an animal, or we're such a thing as a body and a mind, or a body and a soul, or a body and a spirit. And then of course we come into all kinds of problems with trying to identify what a soul is, what a spirit is, what the mind is. It's really easy to think about ourselves as just being physical bodies. And if that's the case, then that means that we're just a collection of chemicals. Now, would you say that this marker has free will? Of course not. This marker can't choose to be anything other than what it is. A bottle of water can't choose to be anything because it doesn't have this ability to choose. As humans, we seem to think that we have this ability to choose. But there's a growing body of researchers who say no. In other words, when you're born with a very specific DNA pattern, and you're born into a very specific family. And so you learn behaviors from that family. And the more that you kind of learn from social pressure, the less of this you're ever going to have, because you're just a stimuli. Okay? You're just a collection of chemicals responding to stimuli. You might think that you can go left, and you might think that you've chosen to go left, but in actuality, you've been caused and determined to go that way. It's a view called determinism, which was postulated a while ago. And in short, if there's no such thing as a soul or a spirit, bless you, then that means that, that's exactly what we are. We're just determined. You can't choose to do what you do in life. You think you're choosing, but you can't choose what to do in life. And the more that we study brain patterns, the more it starts to look like, we might not have this thing called free will. The thing is that you either have this or you don't. You either have the ability to choose or you don't. It's hard to kind of to express the depth of that in just like a minute or two, because you can literally take entire classes in college about determinism and trying to figure out if we have this thing called free will, and hundreds, if not thousands, of books have been written trying to figure this thing out. The existentialists generally are on this view that there is such a thing as free will, meaning that you can choose. And it's not just that you can choose, but you're like radically free to choose. You can choose your own meaning in life, you can choose purpose in life, you can choose maybe not even circumstances, but you can choose how to respond to circumstances. So for example, going back to this idea of social pressure, what are some things what's something that we might be pressured to do or be socially?
Being fit.
Okay, so for example, maybe we're going to be pressured to be fit. Can you choose not to be?
Yeah.
Okay, and what happens if you're not? What's that?
You're not as healthy.
Yeah, so maybe you're not healthy. But in terms of social pressure though, what happens from this end?
Ostracized.
Get ostracized maybe? Anything else? Yeah.
What's ostracized?
To be made fun of, to be outcast. Yeah. So you can choose though to be this thing. You can choose to be ostracized, and then because you have free will. Oh, but if I don't do it, then people are going to make fun of me. Yeah, and they have the free will to make fun of you. So you can choose not to do this thing. Like I hear they, them. Yeah, they're like the most powerful force in the universe, they, or them. They don't want you to do something, so they're going to force you to. We don't know who they are. We just know that there is a they out there in the universe somewhere. And we have to, and it's really us against them, right? So when we say things like, you can't say certain things in life. Why? Oh, because then they're going to ostracize you. Who? Well, people online. So? In other words, you have the ability to exercise this free will to say what you want to say. And of course, people can exercise their free will to respond how it is that you want to respond. But if you give into social pressure, then what you're doing is you're allowing yourself, in other words, you're allowing yourself to be shaped by that, but you're doing it freely. When we conform freely. And by the way, when we say like, oh, people shouldn't conform, there's really good reasons that we should conform to a lot of things. Does social judgment matter? Of course it does. Of course it does. We can be as principled as we want to be, and that is a choice that we can make. We can be incredibly principled and then be ostracized, have no friends, have no job, constantly be under attack online and in person, by the way. But it's a choice that you can make. Yeah.
By conform, what do you mean? Like conform to?
It can be as simple as, like, for example, you're all wearing pants. Good. You should. So that way, if you don't, what's going to happen? You're going to get arrested. So you should wear pants, especially if you're hanging out near elementary schools. Wear pants. And then you could be that person who sits there and says, I'm not going to wear pants because I'm not going to do what society wants me to do. Yeah, you've got the free will not to wear pants. And then people might be like, oh, I don't want to wear pants, but they make me. Who are they? And by the way, no one can make you do anything. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?